We are now joined by Kit Bennett, Director of Rowing and Women's Varsity Head Coach for Skyline Crew and Director at the Washtenaw Rowing Center. Well, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we are thrilled to have you here. We've got quite a bit of exciting news to cover, but first, why don't you take a few minutes, introduce yourself, what you do, and a brief explanation for those of us that maybe are not up to speed on the sport of crewing.
Yeah, no, thank you. My name is Kit Bennett. I'm originally from the United Kingdom, but I moved here in 2003, and I married my American wife, Kat. So we are Kit and Kat.
I love that.
And we have two boys, Finn and Henry, who are 8 and 6, and I became an American citizen 2 years ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a very, very proud moment for me. And I have been a rowing coach for close to 22 years in the UK and in the US. But my sort of main passion piece has been working at Skyline High School in Ann Arbor as the head coach there and now director of rowing. And then we set up Washtenaw Rowing Center in 2012, and that sort of more does middle school rowing and sort of some high performance work in the summer. And we've also just started a national partnership with an inclusion program to get the sport out to kids that might not otherwise see the sport, because we feel that athletics and any extracurricular has a huge impact on children. So we are very passionate about that space.
Well, I think that's fascinating because living in Howell all of my life and Livingston County all of my life, we haven't heard too much about the sport of crewing, and I love watching it on television because I think it's just a wonderful sport. I mean, it's very challenging. I mean, I think it's a lot more challenging than people think it is, but and the synchronicity of it, and it just seems like it truly is a team sport. Yeah,
it's regularly described as kind of the ultimate team sport because you can only ever go as quick as the slowest person in the boat. You don't get a lot of superstars in the sport. There are like individual events like any sport you can do, but we try and do some team events. There are two disciplines. There's sweep rowing, which is one larger oar and two hands on the oar, which you'll see more at they're both at the Olympics, but that's the big 8 boats. And you'll have 8 rowers and one coxswain in the boat who steers the boat and yells and motivates the crew. So if you're small and loud, that's a great space for people. And then you have sculling, which is 2 oars, smaller oars, and 2 hands. And so you have single, double, quad. And then for sweep, you have pair, 4, and 8. Just that's how they're sort of delineated. And teams all around the state row in all types of disciplines. And there's probably close to 30 teams in the state that row. And in the Midwest, there's significantly more than that, but at the Midwest Championships, which we're hosting here on May 14th and 15th, there's going to be probably 50 to 60 teams attending the event. And this has all kind of come about because we were able to set up the Catherine Bennett race course. I named it after my wife because she puts up with a lot. And it is a fully buoyed, so it looks like an Olympic course, basically. I mean, not as fancy like with all the other infrastructure, but like the race course itself looks very similar to that. And so you have a buoy every 10 meters, and each lane is 1,500 meters long, and there are 8 lanes for the kids to race down, and it's just a spectacular experience. We just had our first mitten racing series. These are the pre-events to coming up. So we have 3 mitten racing series events, and the first one just went off without a hitch on Saturday, and just deeply proud and excited about how it went. It was just so exciting to have it in Kensington Metropark, which is beautiful. My wife's family is from the area. They're from Heartland and Brighton. And just to be up here and having that kind of event it was just spectacular, and great weather as well.
Oh, I was going to say, you couldn't have asked for a better weekend to have that. And I'm sure that crewing, like many other sports, especially in the spring and fall, you can get all sorts of weather from
Michigan
flurries,
especially.
From probably flurries all the way to just sopping wet rain.
Yeah.
So I'm like I said, I'm sure you felt very blessed to have the wonderful weather. Hopefully that continues on for your next events in this series. So you talked a little bit about the mitten racing series, and that kind of falls into some other events that are going to be taking place that you're hosting and you're very involved in.
Yeah, so I guess my official title will be the race course director, and we're sort of trying to partner with the region and to sort of get people excited about this. And so the Midwest Championships qualifies crews for the national championships, which are held in Camden, New Jersey this year. And then a week after, the state championships happen, which is obviously just for the state of Michigan. And we haven't ever been able to have the Michigan State Championships on a full race course. So like this is very, very exciting. It's a big shift in the right direction for the sport. And then the Midwest Championships used to be held in Lake Dillon in Zanesville, Ohio. And there were just some infrastructure concerns there that we sort of looked at to shift it this year. And this has all kind of come together pretty, like, in terms of this kind of level of project. It's been a 5-year process for me, but the last year has been the really heavy lifting, and just so excited that this all came together. And getting that first race off at 8 a.m. on Saturday was amazing.
Oh, I'm sure that had to just be a wonderful feeling to know that, to kind of see it from the thought process all the way through to fruition. Yeah. So about how many people attend an event like this?
Great question. The Mitten Racing Series, we got sort of probably around 1,000 at each event, maybe give or take a few. At the state championships, you'll have 2,000 athletes plus their families. So it'll be, I think at Maple Beach at Kensington, there'll probably be 4,000 to 5,000 people down there easily. And then the state championships is smaller. It's about half the size of the Midwest Championships, maybe a little bit less. So probably a couple of thousand as well there.
So these are huge economic drivers for this area. I mean, it's bringing in, like you said, thousands of people, which means they're having to sleep somewhere, they're having to eat, they're wanting to shop places.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think the thing I'm most proud about is that the economic impact on Southeast Michigan is just phenomenal. We based off the economic impact studies done in Ohio for similar events, but we're just hosting more of them. The best estimate we have right now is about 3 to 4 million annual economic impact to Southeast Michigan, and primarily in Livingston County and a little bit of Oakland County as well. But Livingston is going to be a big receiver of that, and we're excited to support the region, especially after a pandemic. People are hurting, and if hotels and restaurants and anything else in between gets that sort of impact, then we're excited about that. So,
well, we're excited to have this here. We kind of jumped ahead a little bit, so I'm going to go back a little bit in our conversation. For those of us that maybe are not familiar with exactly what a regatta event is, what is that?
So it's you get a collection of teams, in this case high school teams that are local to the region. So we've got teams from downriver, teams from Grand Rapids. We had a team from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, come in over the weekend, from Chicago. It's kind of,
so this is more like a national event.
Regional. It's regional.
Okay.
It's regional. Like at least these lead-up events are, and it just depends on where there is rowing, right? Like and how far people are willing to travel. But the race course is a big incentive because not many people. There's 2, 3 in the Midwest region. That's it. So this is the third one, and it's the only 8-lane one, which is a big deal. So you normally race over 6 lanes, but obviously if you have 8 lanes, you can schedule more races and events within the event, and it makes scheduling significantly easier. But so teams show up early in the morning, the parent tents go up, they kind of fuel their children all day, and then boats go on the race course in groups by event, and they'll race down the course, and then there'll be a progression like an NCAA bracket.
Okay.
So in this case, we've got 8 lanes, and if you've got 2 semifinals, 2 go through from each round, and then the next 4 fastest times, just because we're not seeding or doing anything like that. It's just too complicated. Mm-hmm. And so then you progress to the final, which is an 8-boat final, and top 3 teams get medals. And then there's normally like a points trophy system as well on top of that as well.
Oh, that was a very good way of explaining it. As a parent of my 3 kids are grown now, but we spent, they were in basketball and golf, so we did all the travel. And when you said that how ever willing the parents are to drive, and if it's like other sports, they're willing to drive and we do it. And so I'm sure having something centrally located is really a benefit for everybody. Yeah. I have a quick question. How far out in the lake do they go? Like, I mean, how far is the lanes?
Yeah, so the lanes are about 45 feet wide, and then the race course itself is 1,500 meters long, so it's about a mile, just under a mile long. And the launch docks, you go off the launch docks and you take you row your boat up to the cove, the starting area, and you wait for the race in front of you to go off, and then you attach to we call them stake boats. They're basically floating docks, and you've got volunteers on each dock, and it looks like a sort of wooden diving board on the end, and they're kind of hanging over them, and then everyone gets in place, they get straight in the center of the lane, and then you'll hear, we have alignment, attention, go, and then they're off to the races.
They're off to the races.
Yeah, and so the finish line is right by the beach at Maple Beach. Like it's a stone's throw from the beach, and the depth there is great because it drops off very quickly, and you need sort of 4+ feet of depth, but there's more like 7-8 feet. It's great. So for the race course to sit comfortably and float properly, so it's good.
So that sounds like quite a production, bringing in all the docks and all of that. So it's also, you're bringing in crews and workers to have to do all this. Correct?
Yeah,
It's a
lot of volunteer parents. We have a coaching staff that is incredible. We've been partnering with Northville High School as well, because Northville's rowing team, their home body of water is Kensington, so ours is down out of Concordia University in Ann Arbor. But ultimately, there are very few eligible sites for this kind of venture, and it was close enough where we're like, well, this can be the Ann Arbor home course as well as Northville's. Northville have been a wonderful partner in this whole process, and as has Kensington Metropark. We've had they've been incredibly sort of welcoming, and obviously lots of logistics to get through, but they've been very, very helpful, and they see the value in it, and it's great park usage, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so like they're excited about that, and it's bringing lots of park passes, and we're just I think the impact is phenomenal all around. So.
Well, and I think it's exciting just to bring, something new to the area, something that people maybe aren't as familiar with. But I like to think that Livingston County is a very competitive, sport-minded community. So anything that especially instills that teamwork and working together and solving problems together, I think that's great for kids of all ages.
100%, and women's rowing came out through Title IX as a counterbalance to football. So, because women's rosters carry a lot of athletes in college, and so women's rowing is incredibly well funded in the US, and men's rowing as well, not to the same degree, just less programs, good funding but less programs, and so it's also a very good scholarship opportunity. Like it's sort of 1 in 2 who are eligible speed-wise get that, because they are generally successful with a scholarship at D1 through D3. And even just club, which is not scholarship based, but they still get to do college athletics. And you have the University of Michigan men. I coached with them for 4 years in tandem to this, and they're 12-time defending national champions as a club team, and things like that. So there's a lot of rowing in the region. University of Michigan women are very successful. They came 3rd at NCAA's last year. If I think I have that correctly. And then Adrian College just has a rowing program the last couple of years. Eastern Michigan has a rowing program. Michigan State has one. There's a lot going on in this town and in this state alone, and kids they're looking for athletes, and so you might have a volleyball convert who's like, I haven't rowed in high school, but they can walk onto that program.
Wonderful. Well, really quick, we're going to run out of time here, and I want to make sure that people know how to contact you if they're interested in sponsorship opportunities. Yeah,
thank you. So they can call me at 734-882-9300. Or they can email me at kit.d.bennett, BENNETT@gmail.com. I will always reply within 24 hours, Monday through Friday. And if I don't, I did not get the message. So please try again. But I'm good at communicating. So
wonderful. Well, thank you again for joining us and sharing this this new event with us, and sharing a little bit about crewing with us as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.